Well, boils and ghouls, if your Ghostbusting lust wasn't sated by the new Ghostbusters 2 on the NES, well, let's look at some Ghostbusting games on handheld. The first game on this list of paranormal investigation and elimination simulators is Ghostbusters 2 for the Game Boy. And if this looks familiar, well, that's because it was made by HAL Laboratory, and it's just a portable version of new Ghostbusters 2 on NES. But don't think that it's just a port of the game, as it really isn't. It plays almost exactly like the NES version, but there are many differences. For starters, you can only play as the original 4 Ghostbusters. Louis Tully is very left out of the equation. However, both Louis Tully and Dana Barrett do make appearances in the game to give you power-ups and health items. This time around, both Ghostbusters you play do get health bars. Having both characters capable of taking damage adds a layer of difficulty and tension to the gameplay, but I often find the second character gets hit more often than the player-controlled one. You can also switch characters when you encounter them hanging out in a level. Sometimes this brings along with it a temporary power-up, such as a shield, ghost vacuum, or instantly sucking up ghosts, and being able to just walk around using the trap. Added to the HUD is a timer and the number of ghosts in the area you need to bust to continue. Should the time run out, then all the remaining ghosts turn into a Ghostbusters logo and float around until you capture them, which I don't understand at all. Many of the levels, although still following the movie, straight up have been redone. The layouts are different and the number of locations reduced. You only fight in the courthouse, the sewers, and the museum. The boss fights follow the movie but have been redone and are fewer. It's a fun little game and the best Ghostbusters game on the go. A little harder than the NES Ghostbusters 2, but worth the money if you can find it. Extreme Ghostbusters for the Game Boy Color is a PAL game. I imported it for my collection, and I have to say that for a Game Boy Color game, it's not the worst thing in the world. There are certainly worse Game Boy games out there. It's based on the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon from the 90s. There's a younger group of Ghostbusters led by Egon, and they're out to clean up the city from ghosts, and other than that, there's nothing really to the story. During gameplay, you can switch between all 4 Ghostbusters, who all have different attributes. There's Eduardo, an impoverished man with a lot of attitude. And oh my god, look at that butt. There's Roland, who is a smart, technologically minded guy. And oh my god, look at that butt. Then there's Kylie, who is a goth girl. And oh my god, look at that butt. I mean, really, it looks like she's smuggling a couple of hams in there. Lastly, you have Garrett, who in the cartoon is a cocky, confident, and handy-capable human being. But in the video game, he can't use stairs or ladders because he is in a wheelchair. And because of this, you can also not see his butt. The gameplay is wonky and takes time getting used to. You push the D-pad, and the character slowly turns the proton stream toward the ghost. It's cumbersome, and I don't like it. I get hit too many times in the process of doing it. You can deploy a trap, which causes 2 of the Ghostbusters to do this thing that reminds me of the original Ghostbusters game on the NES. I have no idea what to do when this happens. They just kind of come on screen and then they go away. I'm really lost with this particular piece of gameplay. Ghost designs are nothing to write home about. In each stage, there's a requisite set of big ghosts you need to bust, but the stages are also peppered with little ghosts. These ghosts are sometimes bats, sometimes flying skulls, flying books, and these weird looking things which when I first saw them, I shouted, "Oh my god, it's Night of the Living Sperm." Each stage starts with a lame static image of Janine or Egon, giving the Ghostbusters the 411 on what's going down in the next level. Each level ends with the Ghostbusters returning with a smoking ghost trap and a smug smile as if to say, "Yeah, we kicked that bastard's ass. How dare he try to enjoy the afterlife." And if you die, you return to the firehouse with your heads hung low, like a dog who's getting into trouble for having piddled on the floor. And lastly, the music is good. I like it. There was also an Extreme Ghostbusters game for the GBA that did come out in the States and was made by the same developer, and it really is just a better version of the Game Boy Color game. This go around you can only play as Eduardo and Kylie, and neither of their butts are strangely emphasized in this game. You get an okay set of driving levels in Ecto 1 where you have to beat the clock, but hitting anything or driving on the sidewalk slows you down, and I hate it. You get speed only to hit an island in the road, and you slow down like you're driving through molasses. It's poop. During the game, you can switch between Kylie and Eduardo on the fly. The characters are more distinguished from one another this go around. Kylie has a double jump and a trap she can throw, which sucks up all the ghosts on the screen, but her beam is weak. Eduardo is the opposite. No double jump. Instead of a trap, he has a bomb, and his beam is much stronger. I had some fun with this game. It's satisfying to flip back and forth between the characters to optimize their abilities, but there just isn't enough to this game to really bring me back. Ghost designs ain't nothing special, but in the first stage, you do get to bust a ghost janitor, and when I saw this, I thought to myself, what a cruddy afterlife. If I die and have to be a janitor in the afterlife, I'd have to kill myself. Although it would be convenient to be haunted by a janitor ghost, because like you go to sleep at night with the kitchen all dirty and then you wake up the next day and it'd be all clean and you'd be like, oh my gosh, the ghost was here. Oh, how convenient. The boss fights in the game ain't much nothing. The final boss is ridiculous. I can just stand in this corner and he'll never hit me. It's that easy. The real Ghostbusters is the only game based on the original cartoon that's ever been made, which is a shame. There's a lot of potential there. Real Ghostbusters for the Game Boy Color is a simple puzzle platformer. It doesn't really have anything to do with Ghostbusters. You get a nice cutscene of Peter falling into the sewers. You get a good rendition of the Ghostbusters theme. Peter's face shows up on screen a couple of times, and each level is introduced by these charming little title cards, where Peter sometimes screws up the card and has to fix it. And that's most of the Ghostbusting aspect. Gameplay is about avoiding enemies, breaking blocks to find keys, and navigating the level to find the exit. To break blocks, Peter shoots the proton stream down, and to hurt enemies, he uses bombs. It's not a bad game, it's just boring and has nothing to do with the Ghostbusters whatsoever. So in that respect, it's disappointing. And that's it for Ghostbusters on handheld, Fright Fiends. Coming up next is the final video in this long series of Halloween specials, so stay tuned. It's gonna be a good one. If you enjoyed this video, check out this video on Incredible Crisis. Or, if you want even more horror goodness, check out this video on Alone in the Dark 2 for PlayStation. It's god-awful. Really. Just horrible. Wake the kids.